Every story has a witness, but not every witness lives to tell it. Real-life incident stories.
The following account is drawn from documented events. To protect the identities of the surviving family members, the names and exact locations have been altered. We begin with David and his 5-year-old daughter, Chloe. They were living in a quiet, isolated Ohio suburb, exactly 1 year after the sudden death of David's wife, Elena. To understand the events that followed, we have to look at a cognitive defense mechanism known as grief blindness. As this diagram shows, an overwhelmed brain actively filters out disturbing environmental anomalies to maintain a baseline emotional equilibrium. The first spatial anomaly appeared when Chloe began pulling heavy winter coats and thick blankets from the hall closets. She dragged them across the house, stacking them systematically against the glass door of the back patio. David rationalized the behavior immediately. In life, Elena had notoriously poor circulation and was perpetually cold. By assuming Chloe was mimicking the act of taking care of her mother, David projected his own grief onto her actions. A parent's desperate need to frame disturbing behavior as an innocent coping mechanism creates a blind spot. It allows a physical threat to establish a foothold without being questioned. The environment shifted when the heavy blankets vanished from the back patio overnight. When David asked where they went, Chloe claimed her mother had come to retrieve them. David maintained his denial, assigning the disappearance of the bulky items to local wildlife. He convinced himself that animals from the adjacent frozen woods had dragged the blankets away. The artifacts Chloe hoarded soon escalated from soft comfort items to dangerous implements. She began collecting kitchen knives and heavy, rust-covered garden shears, moving them toward the back door. When David questioned her, Chloe offered a chilling explanation. She asserted that the tools were necessary to cut the roots to get inside. Environmental warning signs continued to mount. Every night at exactly 3 a.m., the motion sensor security light in the backyard would trigger, flooding the snow with a harsh, artificial glare. The family dog also reacted to the shift. It began whimpering at the backyard boundary and flatly refused to approach the glass patio doors. These environmental disturbances and spatial boundary tests indicate that a predatory intrusion is advancing into the physical environment. David's psychological rationalizations finally collapsed the morning he found physical evidence pressed into the winter mud. This topographical map tracks the path of the tracks David discovered. They followed a direct route from the deep woods, crossed the backyard perimeter, and terminated directly beneath the wooden deck. The tracks revealed severe anatomical anomalies. They were barefoot, unnaturally elongated, and distinctly deformed. Physical evidence crossing the immediate property threshold marked the point of no return. The entity was now established inside the perimeter. In a desperate attempt to regain control, David decided to physically board up the crawl space beneath the deck the following morning. That night, the security floodlights snapped on again. David woke to find Chloe's bed empty. David ran out the back door into the freezing night. He found Chloe kneeling in the mud beside the wooden lattice of the deck's crawl space. Chloe was holding the heavy garden shears. She forcefully pushed them through the gaps in the lattice into the pitch-black darkness beneath the house. As David grabbed his daughter, a voice spoke from the shadows. It perfectly mimicked Elena's inside jokes, though the sound was layered with a wet, insect-like clicking. A pale, dirt-caked hand with unnaturally long fingers reached out from the gaps in the wooden lattice to retrieve the shears. On one of the fingers was Elena's custom-engraved gold wedding band, the same ring that had been buried with her a year prior. The most dangerous phase of a predatory infiltration is the mimicry phase. This is the moment an entity leverages profound grief to weaponize a family's trust. David evacuated the property with Chloe that night. They left their possessions behind and never returned. In the months that followed, David had to confront his complicity in the entity's escalation. Mistaking a sinister nurturing process for innocent grief, David provided the entity what it required: enough undisturbed time to finish digging its way out.